Hey everybody, today we're talking with Catesby Perrin with Clear. We all know Clear, a place that helps us get to the airport, TSA quicker. They get our fingerprints, scan our eyeballs. Yeah, that one. So Clear is at the forefront of frictionless entry into all of our favorite venues. Sporting events, hotels, office buildings, who knows? I'm hoping they're going to be at the Hunter Conference 2021. I thoroughly enjoyed my conversation with Catesby Perry, and I think you will too. Well, thanks for joining me. How's quarantine been treating you? You've been traveling more than most people, haven't you?
Well, I was. We quarantined for a while in Brooklyn, quarantined upstate New York, and now we have taken up a new quarantine in Jackson Hole now that the weather is nice. So there's some benefits to being able to work from anywhere.
Life is rough, Catesby. When I grow up, I want to come back as Catesby Perrin.
I sit in a room on Zooms all day, just in a different geographic zone. So
is that where you are now, Jackson Hole?
In Jackson Hole, we've been here for a couple of weeks. Now that the weather's firmed up, and it's not bad. Better view, good Wi-Fi. So that's all you can ask.
Is the remote working just fine for you? Zoom calls every day?
For a travel business, remote works pretty well. It's actually more efficient in many respects because you can, for better or worse, pack a lot more into the day. So we get a lot done, and there's a lot happening. So it's nice to be able to be efficient.
All right, so let's talk about that. Let's get started. One, Catesby, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. We're obviously in the hospitality industry. The travel industry is very important. Personal opinion, think you guys with Clear are going to be an integral part of the new world that we're all in and us coming back. So I wanted to have you on, get your thoughts and opinions, and tell me what's coming up next.
Happy to. Thank you for having me. I think, agree. I think there's a lot of overlap between your world and our world and what post-COVID looks like. So excited to talk about it. So
let's start at the beginning, right? Dumb it down for me. So we've all been to the airports and we've all traveled through, we've seen Clear. Dare I say I'm a proud member. You have my eyeballs somewhere on file.
Somewhere. I got them here somewhere.
But, dumb it down. What is Clear?
Yeah, no, great question. I think everybody sees it in the airport and maybe thinks of it as a line skipping sort of opportunity. It's a little more robust than that, right? At its core, Clear is a secure biometric identity platform, right? You enroll your biometrics with Clear. We think about it as a consumer-focused, consumer-first lockbox for that identity, right? The highest levels of cybersecurity, privacy, trust you can put on a public sector product. And we provision really frictionless, seamless, more secure, intuitive experiences in any context. It's all about you, Teague, the data points you decide to append to that identity to what we can unlock for you. So in the airport, it's your identity tied to the TSA's secure flight registry for that day, right? We tell TSA, this is Teague, definitively Teague, not a card that says it's Teague, not a phone that Teague can unlock with his face, which doesn't tell me anything about identity. It just tells me this phone is this guy's. We tell TSA this is Teague, and Teague is on Delta Flight A234 today. Let him into the airport. We do that at 25 different sports venues around the country. So you tie your identity to your Ticketmaster account or your Ticketmaster.com account. You walk up to the Brave Stadium, up to the clear lane, facial biometric. In an instant, you are you, and you are your ticket to that game. And we tell the Brave Stadium, this is Teague. He's got a ticket to today's game. We've torn it. He's in seat A234. Let him in. So much better experience for you as a consumer, much better experience that the stadium can deliver for fans. We're doing this in healthcare today. You are your medical record number, your HSA card, your FSA card, your insurance card. You never fill out one of those clipboards for the God knows how many time again. Never hand over an insurance card again. Much better for you, much better identity for healthcare, which is huge. And so, yeah, it's about biometric identity in all these different contexts.
Who's tracking all that? I mean, what's the data behind it, whether it's healthcare or I get my airplane ticket as Delta or whomever. What's behind the healthcare?
Yeah, it's a great question. So it's also, I think what's unique about our approach is we are not about data and gathering data. More data is not our model. We are the antithesis of a Facebook, or think of ourselves as that. We think of ourselves as biometric single sign-on, right? We are your secure identity that can unlock all these experiences and your data in those respective environments without you having to give all those environments your biometric identity. So rather than collecting the data, we know, okay, Teague has a Ticketmaster account that is, XYZ. We know your Hertz Gold number. We know your Delta Sky Miles number, but we don't need or want to know anything behind that typically, so much as we can just unlock that experience for Hertz, Delta, the healthcare system, the hotel, whatever that might be, to help them create a more secure, frictionless experience for you. So, again, what's core to our value is consumer privacy and trust, but also giving you this frictionless experience. So we try to thread that needle.
So, and not trying to get into your business model, but who pays you?
Okay.
Is Hertz paying you? Is Delta paying you? Or am I paying you?
Great question. So most people, again, know us from the airport, which is our high value consumer subscription business. That's where we've built our business over the last 10 years. Really fanatical, like great, prolific travelers like you need to get through the airport fast, love the experience. Our ambassadors, right? They are the front lines. They are incredible. And you pay for that in the airport. Every other use case is totally free to you. So sports, healthcare, we're building a payments business. There are a couple stadiums in the US, you walk up, you grab a beer out of the kiosk, you put it on a reader, facial biometric, you are over 21, and we charge your credit card. So touchless, frictionless, more secure for the venue. You don't have to hand over your docs anymore to a very nice person behind the checkout kiosk, which in the post-COVID world is the no-no, and no lines because it's self-service. And so all of that is free to the consumer, and it's a B2B business going forward in that respect.
So let's hit on the pre-COVID, post-COVID world. So how much of this were you guys sort of doing anyway, regardless of COVID, and how have you shifted now post-COVID?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think what's nice is we have been building this business and this product roadmap for 5 or 7 years as it pertains to how do you take biometric identity that we've won and fought like airport by airport really hard for 10 years and start to turn that into a platform. And so whether it's payments, sports, healthcare, all those use cases we've been building for. Healthcare is our newest business, maybe 18 months. But what COVID has done is twofold. The first is it's really transformed every organization's pivot towards digital innovation and digital transformation. So the stuff we've been preaching about for 5 years, everyone has always said, that's fantastic. That sounds really cool. It's just not something we can prioritize right now, at scale, although some have, thankfully. What COVID has done has rapidly accelerate digital transformation. So everybody's got to go touchless, everybody's got to go frictionless, but also be more secure. And then what we've done post-COVID is actually extend the platform so that now you can actually attach health insights to your identity. So all these different places, whether it's a hotel, whether it's a restaurant, a sports stadium, your airline, the way I think about this is post 9/11, screening changed in the airport overnight forever, right? Identity and physical screening became the paradigm and the imperative in the airport. That didn't translate to a lot of other places very much. COVID is changing that now. So in every other context where you will be in public with other people, the new paradigm is screening, but it's about identity and health screening, right? So I'm showing up for my Delta flight, I'm showing up for my Shake Shack burger, I'm showing up for my Sam's Club, shopping trip, or I'm showing up to my hotel reservation. Who am I, and am I healthy enough to be in that environment with all these other people is the new paradigm for screening. So that's what we've built, is the ability, much like you could attach your ticket before, to attach different health insights.
So do I still need to go to CVS or my local doctor and get a test, and then somehow that's uploaded to my clear identity, and the end user has a clear kiosk that I then,
Let me give you the example. So we'll use, again, only because I know you're in Atlanta, we'll use the Braves Stadium as an example. Not that the Braves have committed to do this, although that would be fantastic if they wanted to. But let's say tomorrow the Braves open back up, right? Stadium's open. We want to have people back even at 50% capacity. And actually, we've got a few MLB teams that are doing this with their employees starting on Monday. But how do you screen and manage? Let me back up. We think of ourselves, right? Identity and access and entitlements, right? It's those three things combined. And in the post-COVID world, your access and entitlements are tied to your different health data. So the Braves are going to say, or you with your employees, you're going to say, these are the rules to come back to the office. You've got to answer a real-time health questionnaire. So I need to know, per CDC guidance, how are you feeling today, right? Do you have fever, body aches, chills, all that stuff you've probably seen. It's a relatively commoditized experience in and of itself. We've digitized it and tied it to identity. Second feature is testing capacity. So as testing ramps up, the ability for you to say to your employees, or for the Braves to say to a fan who's coming back to the stadium, you have to have had this sort of testing regimen in place, right? So you've had a COVID test in the last week that's negative, or an antibody test that's positive, whatever that is, and that evolves over time. We are building direct integrations with all the major lab companies in the United States. So just like when you go into your Clear account today, you can link your Delta account or your Hertz account. Come July, you'll be able to link your Quest account. So you go in, directly log into your Quest account, which is where all the lab results are populated. And by the consents and the API which we're building, your test results are automatically appended to your identity, just like your Delta SkyMiles number. And then last is temperature. So we can provide hardware for the Braves, for instance, where you walk up to the Brave Stadium, I open my Clear app, I snap a selfie. So that's the facial biometric. I answer a real-time health quiz. I already have my labs and my Quest account or whatever company it is attached to my identity in the background. We have our temperature reading hardware, takes my temperature. And the Braves, or you as an employer in advance, have said, okay, for somebody to show up at the office or at the Brave Stadium, they have to answer the questions in this way. They've got to have a COVID test result or regimen that looks like this. And their temperature has to be below X, 100.4, I think is CDC guidance right now. We then show a red light, green light on your phone. I should have brought it up so I could have showed you. But literally red light, green light, a readable QR code that then lets the Braves know, or lets you know at your office, that Catesby has satisfied all the rules that you set for entry, allow him in. And by the way, then you can also connect your building access credential to that, or your tickets.com or Ticketmaster ticket for the Braves game to that. So all in a single QR code read, confirm the health status, you've screened for health, and you provision frictionless entry.
So many questions, but so your new kiosks will have thermometer,
thermal scanning. Yep, thermal scanning. So we can do thermal scanning, whether we do that in the airport, whether we do that in a hotel lobby, whether we do that at the Braves game. I think what's elegant about this, and the way we've tried to design it, is it's mobile first. So everything can exist on someone's mobile phone. This is different from the airport experience you're used to, where it's fingerprint and iris. Mm-hmm. We have to do that in the airport because of Homeland Security requirements. Everything else we do can be facial and mobile. So, right, your own mobile device, facial biometric, and then we can provision hardware for the Braves or for you as an employer to do the temp piece. But it's all singularly looped into the app experience to provision that outcome based on the rules you set.
And again, fascinating. And again, the Braves or me as the employer or the office building or the hotel getting on our business engages with Clear, has a kiosk in their lobby, yep. And that's what sends everybody through and clears them.
That's right. If you need temperature, right? If you don't need temperature, or you want to do temperature externally through something else, it can be fully mobile based and there's no hardware involved. And I think what's elegant about this too is if you start to think about it, not just in the post-COVID world, which, right, there will be some, near-term dislocation and increased friction to show up anywhere because you've got to screen for COVID. So, right, for 6 months, a year, 2 years, whatever it is until we tackle this effectively, there's going to be some introduced friction if I'm showing up for my hotel reservation or showing up for the Braves game. But what you do by putting this screening in place is you also drive adoption of the platform amongst your user base. So if I'm a hotel and I'm putting this screening in place, the folks who are showing up at the hotel, again, it's a 2-minute enrollment. You do it once and you can use it across all these different use cases. And every time I show back up at the hotel, all of a sudden, think about in 2 years, or by the way, you could do this in 6 months. I open my hotel app, I snap a selfie, right? Clear is embedded in the app, like the native app experience of whatever brand hotel it is. You snap a selfie, I confirm in that moment identity, health screening, if that's still a component of what's required at that time, credit card, and even better identity screening than, the very nice person behind the front desk who's looking at that ID card. I instantaneously, via the app, checked in because I've confirmed payment, I've confirmed reservation, which is linked to your reservation system, confirmed identity, and I don't break stride in the lobby, right? I walk straight to the elevator. You got an NFC ticket or NFC key provisioned on the phone. I don't break stride. And all of a sudden now my front desk folks are purely about customer service and experience. and not about typing, biographic data into a computer and asking, how do you spell Catesby, which nobody can, by the way. So let's skip that part if we can. Yeah.
Yeah. I like it. Yeah. So you're working with my phone and with Hilton or Marriott or Holiday Inn or their room key. And that's how I've checked myself in conjunction with you guys, not in place of.
Correct.
Connection with.
Correct. And it's again, our core business is about identity, right? True high-level identity attestation that we do for the federal government, Homeland Security, and TSA in the airport. So this is even better. For instance, what we built for Hertz, I think is a good example, whereby if you go to one of the 15 Hertz hub city locations, so in Atlanta, for instance, you're flying into Atlanta, you wouldn't do this, but somebody who's coming to meet with you, right, flies in, rents a car, right? They've linked their Clear account to their Hertz Gold number. Instead of waiting in that line to drive off the lot, which takes 45 minutes, and you hand a rental agreement and a credit card and your identity card over to the very nice person in the booth. No, you drive up to the Clear lane, no line, facial biometric, you are your reservation number, your Hertz Gold account number, your credit card, and your driver's license. So for Hertz, much more secure when you're driving off with a $30,000 piece of hardware than the very nice person who's probably been trained but is looking at an identity card and, if it's a good one, can't actually tell if it's fake or not, charging you instantaneously. It's all happening on the back end, so much better for Hertz. And the customer experience is head over heels better than it was previously waiting in that line. The same manifestation of that experience in a hotel lobby, I think, is a natural extension.
And I just got to ask this question from my audience. Who pays for that kiosk? The hotel owner pays for that kiosk in his lobby.
Correct.
Yeah.
But again, it doesn't have to be a kiosk, right? It can be mobile first, right? There doesn't have to be much hardware. Also, I think as we think about ourselves as a business, we are a digital identity business. That's what we do. That's what we power. We can also build hardware to provision really frictionless, seamless, elegant customer experiences, but we're also hardware agnostic, right? You can have cameras embedded in your counters and your screens that are of sufficient quality to capture this. It can be mobile centric and there's no hardware investment at all. It's purely digital or technological. We're not precious about what the hardware implementation looks like. We want to build really intuitive. Again, I think about us, the front end of what we do is fantastic customer experience, seamless, frictionless. You hardly notice what's happening. You're opting in affirmatively to use your biometric, but otherwise it's a really fantastic experience because you are you. On the back end, behind the curtain, we've got cages and lions and tigers and bears and lasers and the highest level of security you could ever imagine, and integrations with our partners to provision the same. So all of that is to the benefit of the consumer and your guest who's showing up at that hotel.
So let's dive into the security piece of it. Should I be concerned that Clear has all my biometrics and knows everything about me? And I don't know, either that some hacker can hack in or that you guys as a company are going to sell my information or do something bad with it?
Yeah, good question. Thank you. I think Clear's our entire value. What's that?
I'm like 5 for 5 on good questions.
Yeah, you're not bad. It's
good. All right.
Okay.
All right. Keep going.
You're good at what you do. That's why Teague Talks have taken off. They're huge.
Yeah, the next big thing.
Next big thing. Social media darling is what I heard. I heard it used. I didn't make it up, but that's what I heard. But our entire brand, right? We're a consumer-facing brand, which is really important. There are a lot of companies out there that build point-to-point solutions that do things kind of like we do. Someone could build this experience for Motel 6, right? Specifically for them. All well and good. But then the consumer has to make a decision if they're going to trust that party with their biometric identity. And people are somewhat antithetical to do that after all of the Facebooks and data and all the stuff that you see out there. Rightly so. Our entire brand is built on consumer trust and on the ability to say we are the most trusted, highest level of security, again, in the domestic sphere that one can achieve by virtue of the certifications we have with Homeland Security to protect your identity. And again, to put it in that lockbox so that you have complete control over how it's used and when it's used. So that's to say, you control that it's connected to Delta or to Hertz, right? In the first instance, you are opting in to make that happen. Second, every time you put it to use, you are affirmatively opting in that moment. There is no passive usage in the background. This is not, cameras in the corners of a Hertz location that are capturing every person who walks in, right? This is you walking up to a piece of hardware or pulling out your phone, and in that moment saying, I'm going to use my biometrics with Clear to unlock this experience. So we don't buy data, sell data, rent data. And also we don't collect data in the way you think about a Facebook doing it. So whether it's cybersecurity, whether it's trust-based and privacy-based, that's what our focus is. I think it's why in this COVID environment with our Health Pass product, where I talked about, appending your test results and your questionnaire and whatnot, the simplicity of that is that we give an operator like you, for instance, or your hotel operator partners, the ability to say, these are the health screening guidelines we need in place, but without ever having to have that data themselves, right? We've built a HIPAA compliant backend. We handle PHI and are certified and do everything we need to handle that appropriately. And all we do is tell your operating partners, these things are true about Catesby without ever having to pass that data across. And so it's that, again, ability for an operator to have the confidence because they've worked with us that we are certifying that certain things are true about an individual, that A, gives them the reliance, and B, you the sense of privacy that these things are remaining with Clear and aren't getting passed around.
So just to reiterate that, so Delta doesn't have my stuff, Marriott won't have my stuff, Hertz doesn't have my information, only Clear has my information.
So
biometrics.
Your biometrics remain with Clear. That's right. They're in our lockbox and they stay in our lockbox. We also go through, and I'm not the guy to go into detail about it, but like every different version of protecting and hashing that. So even, again, were something to happen, it is not something where all of a sudden now I can walk around and I'm Teague Hunter, right? Because everything we do requires an in that moment manifestation and opt-in. I am, this is Teague, I am Teague, and I am here. It's not something that can be then used and provisioned elsewhere in the same way. It doesn't work like that.
So let's talk about some new verticals, but obviously we've got the eyeballs and the fingerprints, assuming that we have facial recognition, but maybe soon. Yep. Voice, what's next?
Yeah, so we think about whatever's best and necessary to provide the best experience for our partners. So today, again, we started with fingerprint and iris because that's what's permitted in the airport environment. For Homeland Security and TSA, everything has to be witnessed. You can only use fingerprint and iris. So that's kind of the highest friction sort of Clear experience you could go through. Face is going to be the forefront of everything we do because it's mobile. It's also in taking a selfie, basically. Again, if you can download the Clear app right now, enroll for free. It takes 2 minutes and check out our Health Pass product, but it's a facial biometric. So you open it up. When you enroll, you'll notice not only do you take a selfie that we match against your identity document, but we also do a liveness check. It's this crazy, it feels kind of like going to a rave. It's like all these different colors and whatnot. And what we're doing in that moment is saying, okay, not only is, right, this isn't, right, my brother holding up a picture of Teague and enrolling Teague as himself. This is a live Teague in that moment enrolling in Clear. And so that gives us the confidence that your facial biometric is you in that instant. Other things like voice, really applicable and fantastic in other contexts, but are more spoofable, we think, in some contexts as well. So it depends on the level of security and the level of attestation you need. But we'll see. I think our platform is built to be flexible based on what partners need and where technology goes from a biometric standpoint.
And humor me on voice. What are some examples of how that might?
Transparently, we don't use voice today in any manifestation. So I don't have a good set of examples for you today. But I think we're constantly evaluating what are new, again, when I think about business verticals, it's how do we leverage biometric identity, whatever that is, iris, face, voice. I know you think you've got kind of you're going to be on The Voice. We're going to hear a Rihanna rendition from you soon. But for now, we'll just rely on your pretty face to unlock all of the things we need and get you in. But there's lots of there's palm reading. There's all sorts of biometric identity pieces out there. We try to make sure that we're focused on the most security is our focus. So what's the most secure? What's the most scalable so we can provision access and entitlements at scale for any kind of partner.
And then humor me with new places and venues where I could use it.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you think about, right, we're already building use cases quickly in healthcare, in travel. So we think about travel and hospitality as a really big category. We think a lot about the end-to-end experience, right? You leave your home this morning and you show up tonight. at your dinner in Las Vegas, right? In that instant, you ideally, in a year, let's say, will go through 12 different Clear experiences, right? You pull up to Atlanta Airport, right? Facial biometric bag drop, right? Self-service check-in, facial biometric, you're checked in. You go through Clear and security like you're used to. Facial boarding, rather than fumbling for your phone and adjusting the brightness and zooming in and out on the QR code, right? You just walk up, you are you, and you're on the plane. You get off in Las Vegas. You check in your hotel via the mobile app. You don't break stride in the lobby. You walk right in. Your hotel or your conference credential is tied to that same identity, and your face is your conference credential. And then, by the way, you walk up to the restaurant. You're headed to Nobu in Las Vegas. Facial biometric. Hey, Teague, great to see you. Sorry, it's been 6 months. Where you been? Like, here's a tuna roll on the house because we know you love it, right? It's that personalization and frictionlessness of the experience that we can start to provision. We think about it as home to gate or home to hotel or home to lobby.
So I love it. This is all so fascinating. And I'm sure that you envision this everywhere in our future. Maybe we talk a little negatives and say, what are the hurdles to overcome? Who are the competitors? What are the state and local, rules and regulations that might hinder you from growth?
Yeah. No, it's a great question. I do think, again, we sit at a really crazy, am I saying too many good questions? They're not all good. This one was about negatives, so it's not as good, Teague, I'll have you know. But I do think, we're at a moment, a real inflection moment, both obviously in the economy with respect to, right, there will be real societal change and behavior, I think, coming out of this. And we do think we're really well positioned to take advantage of that in a really consumer-centric, privacy-first way. I think our biggest impediment in large part is really understanding, right? There are a lot of biometric applications out there that are not consumer first, that are not done with the consumer in mind or individual privacy in mind. And that is antithetical to everything we do, but yet it's very easy to lump us in with those things. So there's some component of just helping people, making sure they understand and reassuring them that we have the right motivation and intention in place. From a competitive landscape, I think there are companies that can provision, like I said, point-to-point solutions for companies to do what we do. The drawback to that, and people want to, and everybody wants to own their data. Everybody wants the deepest insight into their customer, and I understand that, and they should. What we're building, though, is an interoperable ID, right? That allows you to go from your airline to your hotel, to your convention, to your restaurant, to your shopping experience with 1 2-minute enrollment and to your healthcare experience, right? To provision a seamless, frictionless ecosystem amongst all those things. And I think our biggest impediment to ubiquity in that case is a personal, like business desire for an operator to keep everything in-house and keep everything under their own hood, rather than to access this network effect of identity. And so that's on us to convince them about the value of that. I think we will see with Health Pass and health screening, right? We have the opportunity really to grow. If we've grown over the last 10 years, airport by airport, in-person enrollment by in-person enrollment, today is a new day when we can drive mobile-first digital enrollments with great partners like hotel operators, like large restaurateurs at scale, like convention centers, to drive adoption, which then will make it a lot easier for everybody else to say, oh yeah, you've got 30 million people on Clear, why wouldn't we turn it on? 30 million people can use it instantaneously without having to think about it. And that's really powerful. So it's a bit of a chicken or egg question.
Catesby, this is great. You're fantastic, as always. And I'm a big fan of your CEO as well. I know you are. I know that's why you followed.
Karen's amazing. She's an animal. She's fantastic.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that.
You're correct. Yeah. We'll make her come on at some point down the road. We got tougher questions. We gave you all the softball questions.
Obviously. Good. Thank you. I appreciate it.
No, but you're looking good. Stay safe. Hair's high and tight.
We got a haircut just for this, Teague. I wouldn't show up here looking like a Yeti. Come on.
You'd be surprised the number of times I hear that.
That's right.
I'm good. I'm glad I got you to a barber.
You did. Thank you. Thank you.
Safely. Next time you go, you can have your Clear app, and the barber can tell you whether you can tell the barber you're healthy, and they'll let you in.
Don't think we haven't thought of it and reached out to some of the larger barber companies in the country. So
you need a larger sales staff, I think.
We need a larger everything. Opportunity is coming fast. So if you want to provision, your team, put them on furlough to us, we'll take them.
we might for 6 months. Catesby, this is fantastic. You're a jewel to come on. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Great to talk to you. Appreciate it.
I do, and we may do a follow up as we see things coming.
Sounds good.
All right, thanks, Catesby.